I am living proof you don't have to be defined by your diagnosis. As a little boy, child psychologist told my parents I have the condition that we now know as autism. And that's what this story is about, my dad. Dad refused to allow psychologists to diagnose me with anything. He knew the world wouldn't change for me, so he had to change me for the world.
Well, NewsNation Chief Washington anchor Leland Vittert getting personal in a 1-hour special tomorrow night ahead of the release of his memoir, Born Lucky. Leland hoping to inspire the roughly 1 in 31 American children and their families who have an autism diagnosis, saying, quote, "This book is about giving hope to tens of millions of parents whose kids are struggling every day." I caught up with Leland to get more insight on his unique journey from receiving that diagnosis to sitting on the anchor desk. And this is what he had to say. Leland Vittert, so good to see you. How's it going?
Natasha, what a pleasure.
This is such a deeply personal story that you are sharing with the world now. And your parents actually never told anyone about your autism diagnosis. So what went into your decision to write this, to write Born Lucky and release it to the world?
Right. It's a fair question. You write a book saying, hey, I never told you something, so why are you talking about it now? The answer is pretty simple. 5 years old, my parents are told that I need to be, quote unquote, evaluated, which is devastating to any parent, as you might understand. They take me to a little testing center at a medical building, the stale coffee, linoleum floors, old magazines, whatever, and send me off to be tested. And the woman comes back out, and this is the psychologist, and there were a lot of issues with me, what we now know to be autism. At the time, it was profound developmental or progressive developmental delay or disorder, and severe learning disabilities. I had about a 70-point spread on my IQ test. Learning disabilities, a 20-point spread. They said they'd never seen anything like what I had. And so my dad asked the psychologist, is there anything I can do? Anything? And she said, generally not. So imagine how my parents felt at that moment, hopeless and helpless. And so Born Lucky is to give hope to every parent, every grandparent, everybody who has a kid in their life who's having a hard time, not just with ADHD or autism, but with anxiety, fitting in, bullying, all of the difficulties of growing up, to give those parents hope.
You know, and this is something so deeply personal for so many Americans. 1 in 31 American kids diagnosed, and my own little brother has severe autism. He's nonverbal. Nothing has impacted me more. What is your message to families who have kids who are struggling?
Well, I think that's a great point because, as you point out, Natasha, how many people are just having such a hard time with this? Through so many lessons, and we show you these in Born Lucky, my dad taught me that you couldn't necessarily be good at school, couldn't necessarily have friends. You couldn't necessarily be good at sports. I wasn't good at any 3 of those things. But you could control how hard you worked and your character. And those were the 2 things that he kept harping on me on, and still does, that's what you can control. And I think the message, and we said this about the book, that nobody has to be defined by a diagnosis, but in Born Lucky we take you through how my dad made sure I didn't let myself be defined by the diagnosis, because he never told me, but how important it was for him that I saw myself as me, not me as someone with autism or other challenges.
And you dedicate this book to your father. You write, quote, "When people think of autism, they don't picture someone like me. I talk on television every day and carry myself with confidence. That's thanks to my dad." Talk about his influence. What did he do when you got that diagnosis?
People will read in the book that he quit his job and realized, in his words later on, that I wouldn't have any friends. So he thought maybe he could be my friend. And I said to him one time, I said, "Dad, what if you couldn't have quit your job?" And he said, "Well, I would have worked the night shift because I knew you needed me in the morning and at night." So, he would be there every night when I walked home from school at 4:20 in the afternoon. And he would put me back together. I remember after a particularly difficult day at school, a teacher in art class evidently didn't think I was going to become Picasso and didn't like my paintings, and said, "Vittert, if my dog were as ugly as you, I would shave its rear end and make it walk backwards." Yeah. And I came home and told him what happened, as I did most days. And he sat there with me for hours, as he did every night, as I sort of took out my frustrations and my anger on him. And I didn't know this, Natasha, until I started writing the book, but he would leave my bedroom at night, dark out, say goodnight to me, walk downstairs, and he would sit in the living room in the dark for hours and cry himself. And my mom would come out and find him. So I think that sort of sums up in a little bit of a sense of what he dedicated himself to me to do.
What does that dedication mean to you today, now that you're an adult looking back at it?
Everything. I think you'll see in the special that I'm working every day to live up to it and make it worth it.
Absolutely. And we'll be watching that special Lucky, Born Lucky itself, available for pre-order right now, available everywhere September 30th. I'm really looking forward to it. And thank you so much. Leland, it's going to help a lot of people. Thank you for talking to us about it.
Thanks, Natasha.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.